In today's episode, my dear viewers, I'm going to speak to you right from my heart because there are so many issues that are now being raised, not only on a local or a regional level, but even on a global one. And of course, in light of the open skies and the social media and all the alternative platforms for communication and communicating ideas and all of this, of course, questions about Islam is on top of the hotly debated issues. And especially when it comes to the domain of the social media like Facebook and Facebook groups, and also on Twitter and on even WhatsApp groups and Instagram and all of this, and of course on YouTube and all of this. And so many often you find so many young people disappointed, and they are filled of rage and even frustration that where is the stance of Islam on this? Why is it there seems to be this confusing sea or even ocean of opinions, and we don't really have the mechanism or the methodology to determine what Islam says or the understanding in Islam? And as a matter of fact, I am talking in this episode, and as you are watching me in this video, in order to say to everyone, you need to calm down. Today, the Friday sermon highlighted many important things and many important points that we as Muslims do, as a matter of fact, need to be aware of. The khutbah today focused on the importance of leading a constructive and a beneficial life.
I must say that this interpretation of the khutbah is a really good thing that Al-Azhar does, because there are more and more people from abroad come here to learn about the Deen, and since the khutbah is so important for our religion, it's very important that we can also understand.
In Islam, things are not complicated as some people try to portray it. And as some people would say, who knows what is the real meaning of a certain verse, or for example a certain hadith or a certain quotation from a book, especially when it comes to the classical works. And like I said, the reason why I'm talking in this video and in this episode here on Nile TV International and through this program, The Revelation, is to calm down everyone, and all Muslims and non-Muslims. And I do really hope that these words of mine will really be and fall into ears of people of intellect and sound mind. And here the point that I want to start with is the fact that in Islam, knowledge and seeking knowledge has to be according to methodological principles. Of course, Islam is easy and is open for everyone, but definitely when it comes to rulings and when it comes to fatwas, we clearly see from the Quran and from the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that we need to refer to experts in the field, and that to become an expert in the field, it is not about watching a couple of YouTube videos or reading a PDF book and that's it. As a matter of fact, it is much more of a greater responsibility than this. And this is why, and please listen attentively to this, that we as Muslims believe in institutionalism, and the fact that it is institutions that need to be responsible for the process of spreading knowledge and taking into consideration the fact that there are methodological principles for seeking knowledge and also for acquiring knowledge. And that as Muslims, we are very justifiably proud to have an institution that's over 1,000 years old. And it is people from all over the four corners of the globe seek to come to benefit from the knowledge of this institution. And it's wide, deeply rooted expertise in, like I said, spreading knowledge and laying down the foundations of seeking knowledge and acquiring knowledge. And this institution is Al-Azhar Al-Sharif. Like I said, this is an institution that's over 1,000 years old, and all across the centuries, it has been a safe haven for seeking knowledge. And when I speak of seeking knowledge here, I mean seeking knowledge in light of an academic and a methodological approach, not a haphazard one. And you can refer to the previous episode that in which I talked about the components and the essential features of this academic approach. So like I said, this institution has even existed before a number of countries that we even now know, and they are now on the global scene. So this is a very important thing to consider, that Muslims don't have a dilemma when it comes to understanding a text. Someone would say here, and I know in some people's mind they say, but you find that there are disagreements, and you find that there is more than one opinion. This is something very healthy, and this is something that indicates the openness of the Islamic jurisprudence. But here you need to understand that there is a difference between the things that are in agreement, things that are agreed upon, and this constitutes the foundations that all Muslims agree about, and the branches or the issues that are open to having a variety of opinions. So definitely when it comes to respecting the life of all human beings, when it comes to peaceful coexistence, when it comes to showing mercy to both non-Muslims and non-Muslims, and respecting the life of every human being, these are core issues. These are issues that are beyond any dispute. So this is what I'm talking about. But when it comes to having more than one opinion, even when there is a difference of opinion among the Muslim scholars, this difference of opinion, my dear viewers, is based on methodological principles. It is not just because someone doesn't like what the other one says, or they don't feel okay with what they said, so they just disagree. This was never the case. As a matter of fact, it is always based on methodological principles that even their differences of opinion were based on. So it was not just something that would come just out or fall out of the blue and they have a difference of opinion. As a matter of fact, this concept of having more than one opinion is one of the things that reflects and shows us the openness, like I said, and the flexibility, and this dynamic aspect of having the floor and the room open for more than one opinion, and that it is not some sort of a monopoly or something that only is limited to be right or to have a say, something that has to be only limited, or a privilege that pertains only to a specific group of people. This was never the case. But the thing is, this opinion has to be based on a dalil. It has to be based on and in light of a sound and acceptable proof or piece of evidence. And this is why the Muslim scholars have very two vital and two very interesting branches of knowledge. One of them is usul al-fiqh, or the principles of the Islamic jurisprudence. And how is it usul al-fiqh, or this discipline or this science of the principles of Islamic jurisprudence, it guides the process of understanding the text and how to extrapolate and extract the understanding from this text. And a very also, and this is the second one here, a very important and a very crucial discipline or branch of knowledge that we know about when it comes to the Islamic sciences is al-fiqh al-muqaran, or the comparative jurisprudence. So in so many cases, as so many of you know, there would be more than one opinion. But here comes the significant and the vital role of a Muslim scholar who's an expert in the science of ilm al-fiqh al-muqaran, or the comparative jurisprudence. So they would look into the opinion of each group or each madhab or each school, and they would look into the proofs or the evidence on which they have based their opinion. And then he would look and he would see what made them say this and how they understood what was wajh al-dalala, or what was the angle of signification of the proof that they cited from the Quran, from the Sunnah, from the intellect, from any other source. And then he would boil all this, and he would all the way come down to a tarjih, or to which opinion is more acceptable, and also why. And not only this, so many and so often you would find that he would say all of them are correct. So in a certain context, this opinion, and in light of the proofs that they mentioned, this is the one which is the prevailing one. Yet in another condition, and given a certain, for example, social context, this other opinion of that other school is the one that we prefer, and the one that is the prevailing opinion, and he would also, or she would also state for this and this and that. And on a third, and so on and so forth.
قبلك إلا رجالا نوحي إليهم فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون.
In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. And we have not sent as our messengers before you but men, to whom we revealed as we revealed to you, and if you do not know that, ask the people of earlier scriptures.
Like I said, and I conclude by this, especially in light of all of these technologies that we have nowadays, that we need to be aware of the fact that we need to make sure that whenever we have a question or a point of research, we need to refer to the people who are highly qualified and who are experts in the field. Not just because someone has a big number of followers on Twitter or on Facebook, this makes them the right person to ask. Of course, this is not the criterion. The criterion should be their qualifications and their piety, their fearfulness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And like I said, the very first thing that of course we can have access to is their level of knowledge and what qualifications they have. So it is not just about someone writing on Facebook or on Twitter, Mufti so and so, and that's it. Rather, it has to be a meticulous way of search in order to make sure that we are asking the right person. Just as when we don't feel well, so we don't just ask anyone for the prescription for whatever we are experiencing or whatever sickness that you are going through, but you make sure that you go to the best person in the field, and then you would go to them or ask or consult to them for a medical prescription or for anything to deal with the problem or the health issue that we are having. So it is of no less importance when it comes to our questions about our deen or about Islam. So we need to refer to the people who are experts in the field, and it is for this Al-Azhar also has been doing numerous efforts to keep up with all the social media, and this is why I can refer you here to the official Facebook page of Al-Azhar's portal, and that's www.azhar.eg, and I'm sure it will appear also on the screen. So also you can refer to it, and you would find the Facebook page and the Twitter, and also you can communicate and contact people who are qualified and who are experts for answering your questions. Of course, there is much more to talk about this, but I will leave it for now due to the fact that we are approaching